Howdy, howdy, fellow movie fans, and welcome back for another edition of the Wisco Movie Watchers podcast brought to you by P Creative. As always, we are your hosts, Evan and Dylan Davies. Today, we're hopping back into the big box office series and covering a film that Dylan is so excited to cover, I can't even express it. What are we covering today, Dylan?
So we got 2015 Jurassic World.
10th anniversary showing, right? And we're going to get it out right before Jurassic World Rebirth.
I was thinking about it earlier, and I'm fairly certain I saw this movie twice on opening day.
Really?
Because I really liked it at the time. I think it was just like a pleasant surprise. And since then, before I would say I grew to kind of dislike it, but watching it again, it really is just like, whatever. Like, it's a movie.
I think that pleasant surprise is a great word for it because I went in with low expectations because you watch the first Jurassic Park and you're like, well, this is a masterpiece. And then you see the sequels or you avoid the sequels because you know how bad they are and you're just like, not even. Like you see pieces of them on TNT at like 4 o'clock on a Sunday in March and you're like, well, this is a complete waste of my time.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
The Lost World has parts that are good, but the third one, yeah, I don't like the third one at all.
Exactly. So you avoid it, and then all of a sudden, this seems to be. I don't think it's the first, obviously, but this seems to be the beacon for legacy sequels.
Well, it comes out the same exact year as Force Awakens.
Yeah, and like Force Awakens, although yes, technically is a legacy sequel, but because the prequels already exist, you just assume at some time more Star Wars movies will come out. Like it's hard to believe after Revenge of the Sith that no Star Wars movies will ever come out ever again. Whereas this seems to be the rebirth, if you will, no pun intended, of hey, let's just do sequels to old movies all the time. You're like, why? We don't really need this.
Yeah, it's a trend that's still going on.
Yeah, no, there's a great Hot Ones interview with Vince Vaughn that I think just hits it well, where he's like, it just turned to where they said you need an IP, and he's like, well, what if I have all these stars and I have this story and I have this? No, we want you to have an IP like Battleship. And he's like, what? Like, he's like, it's just that they think that's bankable. And I think there's another great interview right now from Howard Stern with Seth Rogen. He's like, the beauty of movies is it can all change in one weekend. And I'm hoping something like F1 really does something well. I'm recording this previous to watching it. I will be watching it in the next couple days. But I'm hoping, even though F1 technically does have IP attached to it, it's not an IP movie. You know, it's just about Formula One racing in some way.
Hey, there's an Ed Sheeran song in it. That's the only thing I know about.
Well, I mean, I'm excited for that. You know, you got Joseph Kosinski coming back to direct. I want to see if Top Gun Maverick is a one-off, or if this is really this guy can direct these kind of movies. Cool. You know, Brad Pitt obviously is just he doesn't really make bad movies anymore.
Yeah, he's pretty smart. He's like Tom Cruise. They know what they're good at.
And he's really smart at picking his spots and choosing it. It's got a good cast, so I'm excited to see this, especially currently on a hot streak. You know, I don't think there's been a movie that I have seen over this summer period so far that has been complete death. So, granted, I've avoided Lilo and Stitch. I've avoided How to Train Your Dragon, which I'm not saying those are bad films. I just like those are the ones I thought were most obviously going to be bad or had the biggest chance to be bad.
I heard both of them were pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm not, again, it's not commentary on those films. It's just I pick my spots as best as possible, even though I'm trying to see as many movies this summer as possible. But yeah, it definitely was okay. But Jurassic World, as we jump into this, it's an interesting world it created. this sequel.
So just to like kind of hammer home the fact of like IP.
Yeah.
So Jurassic World, number 1 at the box office. This is domestic gross, $652 million, and then Star Wars: Force Awakens, 651. So, and really, there's like, let me do a quick calculation of math. Like right around $300,000 difference between the two. So it's really close.
It's simply
Probably the
its release date is the only reason Jurassic World
yeah,
has that spot. It's the only reason.
exactly. Yeah, and then rounding out the top 10, which is just going to prove the point of IP. Avengers Age of Ultron, Inside Out is the only original movie here.
Yeah.
Furious 7, American Sniper, which I'm fairly certain is based off a book, Minions, The Hunger Games, Martian, and Cinderella. So one original movie in the top 10.
The Martian, I would still consider. I know, like, I don't really consider movies based off books
That's a
unoriginal.
really well-known book, though.
Yes, I do understand that, but there's something to me that, like, we're not talking about a book series. We're talking about just like a one-off book. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I still think there's something to it as opposed to
Yeah, I kind of view The Martian the same way I view Ready Player One, where it's like it was pretty obvious at some point they're going to be movies.
sure.
So
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Ready Player One needed a lot of changes. Martian didn't necessarily need a lot of changes in terms of the way it was presented. But granted, there's a lot of Ready Player One fans out in the world that would say they shouldn't have changed anything. That's the why the movie wasn't as good as it could have been. I'm like, okay,
yeah, I didn't
well,
read the book.
I
Movie's fine.
I enjoy that movie, but yeah, it's like I'm not gonna go out here and say like, oh, best Spielberg's
I
ever
would
done. No,
I would
it's
use
fine.
this. I would use the same exact word to describe Jurassic World as I do Ready Player One, which is just
It's a
it's
movie.
a movie. Like it's kind of one of those things of like, what's worse, hating something or just being completely apathetic to it? That's how I feel about Jurassic World, where I'm just like, I just don't care one way or the other about this movie.
So you have zero feelings towards it whatsoever right now.
Like I could go my whole life without ever watching it again and not care at all.
I think that's an okay point, but I'm saying you don't even lean 1% positive or negative.
I think it's exactly what it's supposed to be, which is just a fun popcorn summer blockbuster.
Yeah,
Like, is it my particular cup of tea? Not really, but it's fun for a lot of people, so
I was
it
gonna say
succeeded.
one of my tests that I've noticed since doing the show with you is when taking notes, do my notes trail off, and it happened because I started with trying to get a bunch of notes in, then I just went, oh, I'm just paying attention for long, long stretches of time without taking a note.
Mhm.
So I came back. I was pleasantly surprised because, like you, though, as much as we've joked around about it, how you've dreaded it for the last couple weeks, right? Even for the last couple months, when we just Jurassic Park would come up, and you're like, we don't need to talk about Jurassic World. I started getting, I started noticing like, oh yeah, I've been kind of out on those too. But I was like, well, I don't dislike the first one. I just dislike the two sequels. I think the two sequels are garbage.
I didn't watch the third one just because the second one to me was like,
Just jumps the shark completely.
yeah, borderline unwatchable. Even though I really, really love the director, Jay Bayona,
Yeah.
I really like his previous movies. So it was kind of a huge disappointment
Oh,
for me.
you mean the idea of cloning a human being out of nowhere, but it's through dinosaur means, and you're like, what the fuck are we doing?
Or the fact that they're like, auctioning off dinosaurs in a mansion. Like that's like the worst place you could possibly put a hidden dinosaur layer.
Yeah, yeah.
Do like a bat cave kind of thing. That'd be cooler.
Well, also like, just go to the island. It got the whole
Yeah, that's
fucking thing.
yeah.
And the thing is, this is what you could do is you could have it under the guise of this company's come in and they've taken control of the island, and they're
Mhm.
really on top of it. So then you get the public PR of, oh, what a good company, what a good company. And then when people ask, well, what do they do with the dinosaurs? Just say, oh, we have them under containment. Don't worry about it. And then, oh, secretly, oh, we're selling them off to the highest bidding governments and militias and all these nefarious
Yeah.
folks.
What one of the things I also dislike about this trilogy as a whole is there seems to be some kind of like need or studio mandate or something where it's like you have to create a new thing. Like in Jurassic World, it's the Indominus Rex, right?
Yes.
And then like the next one is some sort of raptor hybrid. Just like there's enough dinosaurs out there to make it super interesting and fun. Like Jurassic Park, there's no hybrids of anything. It's just dinosaurs.
Yes.
And that's what's fun about it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is you can get an education in dinosaurs just by watching Jurassic Park. Who the hell has ever heard of a Dilophosaurus before?
Yeah.
No one, except
I,
super nerds.
I get that they're trying to do some kind of commentary about like, oh, it needs to be bigger and scarier and blah blah blah, more exciting. Like they're trying to make some commentary about the whole franchise as a whole.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just so unneeded. Like this movie doesn't have to be meta. Not everything has to be meta, and that's kind of one of the things I dislike about like modern franchises is they always feel the need to be commentating on their own previous installments. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think we're going to cover the Indominus Rex during this a lot. Quickly, before we go into too much detail and let it dominate the conversation, I think it's a great inclusion, and I think that works for the first one. But
Yeah,
you're right.
I have no problem with it. Yeah.
But then when it becomes the commentary is always the mad scientists having to do more and more and more and more and more,
Hmm.
it just doesn't hold a lot of weight because you're just like, these are prehistoric killing machines. They could fuck anything up that they wanted. You know, like this isn't a case in which you have to enhance them so they can survive. You know, like, and it's something that even the BD Wong character just takes such a left turn in Jurassic World, and you're like, oh, he's sold out because he's all about new creations, but then he becomes this huge villainous mad scientist that you just go, what the
Yeah.
fuck are we doing?
I was gonna say it's more than just sellout. He's like borderline evil.
Yeah, no, he is straight up, and that's the thing that just doesn't make sense going forward. Because like, he was a researcher that was important
Hmm.
on a team,
Yeah, he was one of many scientists.
right? And it just gets too comic booky. You know, like that's
I would agree.
that's a plot out of the X-Men. That's a plot out of Batman. That's not a plot for Jurassic Park. You know,
Hmm.
it's just not. It just doesn't work that way. But we'll get into that more often. So let's cover Jurassic World here. As you said, box office here made buku amounts of money, and it was absurd. Right
Yeah.
away, in starting the film, I was pleasantly surprised, and immediately it won me back over because the kids are from Wisconsin. And
Oh, both of them?
yep, and well, not the actors. The kids in the movie are
Oh,
from Wisconsin
oh, the characters. Okay, okay.
because they say Dane County Airport, which is my hometown airport right out
Yes,
of Madison. So I
yes.
live within 15 minutes of the Dane County Airport for anyone trying to track me down. So probably shouldn't dox myself, but here we are.
And
So
Madison's big enough.
Madison's big enough; it'll be fine. But it was just hilarious to be like, oh, we gotta go, and it's Dane County Airport. Then I saw the airport that they put it in. I'm like, they clearly did not even remotely
Yeah.
try to get the right airport because that's way too big of an airport. Part of the
They,
beauty,
let me.
part of the
I was
beauty of
gonna
the Dane
say.
County Airport is it's a smaller airport.
I was gonna say. There's no way any Hollywood movies come into Wisconsin to film practically.
No. Which they should, because they'd probably cover their budgets really quickly.
There was times when I think it was the Transformers films, like the original three. I think they would film in Milwaukee. Oh yeah, they're actually because the Milwaukee Museum of Art, I think it is like that really iconic building,
Yeah.
and that's in the third Transformers movie. But that's the only like big blockbuster that I can think of that shot in Wisconsin. A
Well,
little bit.
well, obviously, besides Public Enemies, which we covered a little bit on another
Yes.
show because it's shot in our hometown.
I wouldn't really call that a blockbuster though.
It was at the time, but it has not held up whatsoever, and it didn't make enough
I
money to
I
say.
like that movie.
Typical Michael Mann. It's very slow. I do enjoy it. Partially, I just like the sub. I just like the source material that we're
That's
going
pretty
off
much it.
of, and I like the actors in it at the time, especially at the time. You know, now Johnny
Yeah.
Depp, you're like, yeah, I can avoid that one, but I'm not interested in seeing much of Mr. Depp's future work. But Christian Bale, you get Christian Bale on board, I'm like, yep. Especially the height of Dark Knight franchise. You're like, oh, Christian Bale's in this movie? Yeah, I'll go watch it. And it was filmed
Yeah.
in my hometown? Sure.
Yep. One of the things that I find curious about this Jurassic World is the choice of director, Colin Trevorrow,
Yeah.
seems so random. Because I was looking at his IMDb, the only thing that is of note is one movie, which I don't know if you've seen. It's Safety Guaranteed.
No, I have not. It was always one of
well,
those
no.
that I'll get to it.
I think it's Safety Not Guaranteed.
Safety Not Guaranteed.
It's like, yeah, it's like the only thing I remember about it is like it's a smaller comedy about time travel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not actually like time travel is not the plot as far as I remember.
From what I know of it, it is not. It's not Back to the Future. You know, it's not.
Yeah, definitely not. It's like really small. So I was like, they really like handed him a lot of money for this movie.
Inspired choice, and I think it works out for them.
Hey, and that is kind of the trend, or it used to be, where it's like people made one or two like successful smaller movies, and then they would just get thrown into these giant fucking franchises.
Well, you got to remember, in the same year, that's when that trend died.
That was a trend for Marvel for a while.
Well, Marvel still does it, but that's how they can control things. That's not Marvel does that to this day.
Yeah.
Because Marvel then the Marvel Creative Committee, the producerial team, everybody can just go.
Yeah.
You know, the director
And
on set like I remember the notes coming out of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where it was the first time in ages that they hired a real director. And Kevin Feige said, "Oh my god, it was so refreshing that it didn't feel like I had to be on set every second of every day to do everything." It's like, but that was the choice you guys made as a company. You go do this was to constantly get these people that are from television or they've done 1 to 2 independent projects that are promising, and you think they might be good, but they're not ready for 10,000 fucking effect shots and shit. They don't know that stuff yet.
That is one of the things to point out too. Is like, if your director is not also a visual effects person, they're directing maybe half a movie. Like, a lot of it is already previs.
Yep.
So it's like, it is one of the kind of annoying things about it is like, they don't get credit. Like, visual effects supervisors don't get enough credit.
No.
They should be like pretty much directly under like the director's name all the time.
So before I finish that 2015 thought, I do want to say something kind of in that spectrum. I watched a classic from our childhood just a couple weeks ago with some friends, as I noted on the show before. We're doing childhood movies, childhood VHS tapes now on Sundays with 2 friends. And just to make sure no one had ever seen the movie besides me, I picked The Pagemaster, starring Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, nice. Yes.
And I adore that movie. It's not great, but I adore that movie.
Yeah, I have a very soft spot for it.
I have a huge soft spot for the movie. I think it's great for kids, but it's not.
Also, that fucking Sega video game was hard as fuck.
I was about to say the same thing! It's so goddamn hard! At least it was for us. And it's not like,
I could not beat it.
And like, I wasn't a schlub as a video game player back then. Like, I wasn't great. You weren't going to hand me Final Fantasy VII and be like, he's got it. But I also wasn't some moron who couldn't press buttons. I knew what I was doing. Just the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and everything before that, all those games are just difficult. Because they just are.
Yeah, that's true.
But The Pagemaster, the reason I brought it up is that film is mostly animation with some live action sequences beforehand. And 2 directors are credited. Joe Johnston, Star Wars and all these other things, eventually Jurassic Park World and Jurassic Park 3. He directs all the live action scenes. And then they have an animation director come in and he does all the animation direction. And works with a wonderful voice cast. And
yeah, that's true.
That voice cast is incredible. But that's the way a lot of these big movies should be done now, in my opinion. Is you should be crediting the visual effects directors going, no. They're doing so much of this movie that you. I think maybe one of the only reasons, if I had to guess at this, beyond the fact that they don't want to pay somebody more, is it's frightening. Watch one credit, just one actual credits roll out of a Marvel movie now.
Oh yeah.
The amount of effects houses, it just rolls for minutes.
I was gonna say, it's just because like 95% of the movies now are visual effects, which is part of the problem I have with a lot of them. But one of the things that's very noticeable in this is nothing feels rushed.
No.
Because you see tons of movies nowadays where like I think the best example of it recently would be the Craven the Hunter movie, where like those visual effects look bad, like legitimately bad for nowadays.
Even in the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, or Madam Web, another example.
Oh God.
Where it's just like, I think it is just them not having the proper time to work on it. Like these effects houses are under such demand and deadline that it's just like, it's not going to look good. Like you're shooting yourself in the foot by giving them these really harsh deadlines.
I mean, this goes into big commentary of who runs things. You're beholden to stockholders, or you're beholden to people who really don't understand the film business. And they're doing. I think that's why it's the most refreshing thing, as much as it's frustrating some fans right now. Because there's been a little back and forth of, you're like, well, that doesn't necessarily map out with exactly what you were saying before, but the spirit is still like James Gunn's DC rollout, where he's like, if it doesn't have what we want, we're not doing it. Or David Zaslav, as much as he has a lot of problems as the head of Warner Brothers Discovery, which I'm not saying I'm a huge David Zaslav fan or anything, but I will say he's done a lot of, no, we don't need that, cut it. We don't need it, cut it. And he's slowed down their production slate to be like, why don't we just make movies and just let them come out?
Because Jurassic World, the visual effects in it, they hold up. Like, they look better than some movies today. And that's 10 years ago. Which, like, I don't think, like, the normal person really understands, like, how big of a jump there is in 10 years in visual effects. Oh. Like, there's so many different, like, physics sims and like, work on like very little particular things. But I would say this looks better than both those movies I mentioned. Like it looks better than
I'd agree.
Craven, Madam Web, Morbius. Like, I think obviously it's easy to pick on those movies, but it does look better than a lot.
I would say it still looks better than Marvel, like Marvel proper, not just Marvel side stuff from Sony. A lot of the time, like I don't have I got no real beef with the Marvels like a lot of people do, but I don't think that movie looks nearly as good as Jurassic World. I don't think that a lot of movies
one of the things that's nice about this is it at least does use practical landscapes.
Yes.
Like, they're clearly not just in a giant blue screen, like, dome or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which that's definitely the trend nowadays of like, why would we ship everything off to some location when we could just build a fucking dome and make the landscapes completely CG and they look mostly real.
Yeah.
But I think just subconsciously, I think people do notice a difference.
They do. Notice the things that people are most rabid about. I just look at this. I don't think this is... I'm not saying they're the 3 best movies that have come out in the past 5 years. I think they're some of the best, but I don't think everyone would agree that they are top of the top. But look at 3 movies that audiences lost their shit for. Top Gun Maverick, Oppenheimer, and Barbie all have real things about them. Very real, tangible things about them. Where when Barbie, when everyone's like, what are you talking about? Barbie Land is all artificial. It's like, yeah, but that's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be this land of make-believe. But when they're in Los Angeles, you can tell they are in Los Angeles on the streets of LA. Oppenheimer, it is abundantly clear that they are in New Mexico when they are shooting that film. Or they're in California. Or they are on a set somewhere in a real location.
They're in a desert somewhere. Yeah.
They are in a real place. Top Gun Maverick, part of the reason that film took so long to make as it did was they spent legitimately almost a decade scouting locations for what they wanted to do. And you can tell things are actually happening in real life to make that movie feel real. People understand it. It's not, that's part of the thing. And I think that's part of the thing that sucks so much is when you do get the occasional commentary where someone says the quiet part out loud and they're like, oh, audiences are so cynical. It's like, they don't want to be cynical. We don't want to hate the movies we go to see. We want to enjoy them. A great example of something that I feel is very tangible and real, and I can tell they at least went to the goddamn South and did something, is Sinners, which to me is still the best movie of the year thus far that I've seen. And there is very tangible, real shots. Go rent it immediately, because I think it's now available.
I know. I think I'm just going to buy it once it's on 4K.
Yeah, because it's an incredible film. Mm-hmm. And it is abundantly clear. They actually went to the South, and they actually did something in real places, and it actually feels tangible and real. We don't want to be cynical. We don't want to, like, I think of something like Richard Edlund, who was one of the effects supervisors on the original Star Wars trilogy. And he's like, the 10-year-old is our biggest critic. If the 10-year-old says, oh, that looks funny, it immediately takes you out of the movie, then you haven't done your job. He's talking about visual effects, but now it's almost like you have to talk about that real life. When an adult or an audience member can go, that just doesn't look right. Mm-hmm. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, and there's I think the best way to say it is like there's an imperfection to practical locations, whereas if you're doing a completely 100% visual effect landscape, you can make everything literally perfect, down to a T, what you want to do. And I just don't think there's you don't get happy accidents as well.
No.
And that's like a lot of the charm of like older movies is like sometimes there's just shit that would happen and it would end up in the final film.
Yeah.
Like I think because we're going to review Back to the Future soon, there's a lot of happy accidents on Back to the Future. Like, and that's part of the charm is like not everything's perfect.
No. And the imperfections make it perfect.
Yeah. That's what makes it fun as well.
And again, I think the problem, I think this is part of actually why you and I both at some time in our life have gone kind of negative on this film, even though the film itself, I think is very fun. I really do actually enjoy watching this movie when I watch it. Like you, it's not something I'm going to come back to a lot. Like if this is something that if I were going to show a kid Jurassic Park and they said, oh, is there another one? I'd be like, we can watch Jurassic World. We can tell. I'm not going to go into Lost World. I'm not going to go into Jurassic Park 3. I'm certainly not going to do the 2 sequels to this movie. But I'll be like, okay, look, well, we can watch Jurassic World, and I think you'll have some fun because you'll be like, oh, the T-Rex is the hero again? That's so cool. Like, oh, this, and that. Like, oh, that's so cool, right? You get some tie-backs to the original, but there's still something new and fresh. At least it feels somewhat fresh in this world. And, yeah, it's just... but this movie starts trends that you just don't want to see happen.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of actual story, how do you feel about the whole using the dinosaurs as weapons kind of plot running through it?
I think it's one of those that is an actual true-to-life thing that would happen, but necessarily I don't need covered in a movie.
I completely agree. That's why I was like, would that happen? Almost 100%. Yes.
1,000%.
The military would think about, hey, how do we apply this? Or how could we use this as an application? But also I'm like, it's ironically one of the most boring choices of the movie.
Wait, what? Oh my god, military shadow ops are evil? Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's
Who would have thought? Never saw that before.
And I know it's not like, I don't think it's military. I think it's like an actual company, I think, right?
Yes, but the whole point is to sell to... It's implied that they have ties to the U.S. military in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. That's just like one of the most boring choices to me, because it's just like, it feels like it's been covered in millions of movies already.
I still remember watching the first Transformers and then being like, oh yeah, we've known about these things forever. And I was like, well, that's logical. It's
Mm-hmm.
logical that, you know, the deep state U.S. government that exists in movies would know this. Okay. But I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't necessarily need the military taking over every goddamn thing in every movie ever,
Yeah.
right? Again, it's a logical choice. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, that's so stupid. No one would ever do that. It's very logical that if a raptor exists, the U.S. government would be like, let's find a way to use it to kill people. Like,
Yeah. Uh,
especially this
and
current
then,
fucking regime.
oh yeah, I could imagine Donald Trump saying, "Hey, what about those T-Rexes, huh? What can we do with those?" Just being completely stupid. But
Oh, of course.
the other part of the plot, I don't know how you feel about it, but to me, it's just this movie. My biggest problem with this movie is it just lacks the charm of the first movie,
It's very true.
where it's like they weren't. This movie feels so like cold and sterile and like analytical, whereas the first movie was like full of wonder and charm. It's like we're doing this because like, hey, this is a huge jump in technology, and we're just doing it just because like, can we do it? Is it possible?
Hmm.
And this movie feels just like, oh, okay, let's plug in this, make a huge new monster. It just feels so like
I would say,
it feels cold.
I think there's a balance in that, yes, I do. I think there are little pieces of this movie that are very charming. Little pieces.
But is that because the movie or because Chris Pratt?
Both. I think Chris
Okay.
Pratt, if anyone wants to see Chris Pratt prove that he can be a star, this is a perfect follow up from Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was going to say, I think Guardians is a much better example of his star power.
I agree with that, but because it's the one and only time he ever did anything on that level in film, it was very easy for people who were doubters to immediately go one
Yeah, that's true.
off, one
Hmm.
off, But coming here, I'm not saying the character is much different. It's still Chris Pratt in new
Yeah.
costume, but say what you will about it, you root for the guy. He's a charming guy in this movie. You don't immediately go, isn't he some crazy like Christian who you have to question
That's the
his
problem
choices
with
and
Chris
stuff?
Pratt. Yeah, that's the problem with him nowadays. It's like everyone knows too much about
A
him.
little bit, yeah. Well, because people just wanted Star Lord. And the other thing was perfect about it was all this came out like right around the time of Avengers Endgame and kind of got worse. So when he just gets kicked in the nuts in Avengers Endgame, you're kind of like, good, good.
Yeah,
And then
they're
by Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you kind of just already. It was kind of a miniature version of Tom Cruise, where you just accepted.
yeah,
Guy's got
that's a
some.
great example.
The guy's got some wonky beliefs and has some wonky personal traits that I'm not sure I can really back. Like
Hmm.
if someone's like a big Christian, that's not an immediately like can't watch a movie by them. That's as much as I'm not a believer in the faith based around Jesus
No,
Christ.
as far as I remember, it's because like he supports like mega churches that are very like anti-gay, anti-trans, like really ugly points of view.
Ugly points of view. Plus, I mean, he's just got. He always. It comes up. He does it to himself. Every fucking Mother's Day, he fucks himself over again. And he does it every time it's brought up because they have. He and Anna Faris have a child with special needs of some kind.
Yep, yep.
And he just always puts his foot in his fucking mouth and does something or says something that if you buy into the thing that he's just a guy who's trying to be overly positive, you can maybe give him the pass if you're a delusional fan. But many
Hmm.
people in this, you're like, you never ever kind of acknowledge your child with special needs.
Yeah,
It seems like
that's
you
true.
intentionally hide it and don't really bring it in the
Kind of
thing.
kind of the J.K. Rowling thing of like, you're really just gonna die on this hill, like,
A
and
little bit, yeah.
totally destroy people's point of view of you.
Yes, or I remember when his last child was born with his now wife, where perfectly wonderful, healthy baby, and I'm so glad. And it's just like,
Hmm.
motherfucker, we want to like you. We
And
want
there
to
is
like you.
I mean, there's part of me that goes, okay, maybe give him the grace of like he just didn't mean it that way, but
Right. The thing is, this is
yeah,
like when I watch him, I don't think that. Right. When I watch Tom
no.
Cruise now, I don't immediately go, "This fuck Scientology world that he's
Oh,
benefiting from." I don't view
have you
that
seen
because I've just accepted
have
it
you
over almost 20 years now.
have you seen that? There's a video online. I don't know if it's still online. Scientology's crazy, so they might have been able to take it down. But it's like this huge auditorium where Tom Cruise is like giving a speech about L. Ron Hubbard, and at the end he like turns and there's this giant fucking portrait of L. Ron Hubbard in the background, and he turns and salutes it.
I want to let you know
It's
I've watched every single
okay.
piece of material on Scientology possible. I know exactly what you're talking about. They're
Yeah.
awarding him with the Lifetime Achievement Award because theoretically
Yes.
he's brought Scientology to the most amount of people ever, and he's like the
Hmm.
world's greatest Scientologist. So they're awarding him with this, and it's part of David Miscavige's like L. Ron Hubbard totally fucked and found every legal loophole to essentially
Yeah.
just make himself a rich dictator.
He was just a bastard.
But David Miscavige is straight up evil. Where you can say
I would
Elrond,
agree. Yeah.
like the thing is, this like you can say what you will. I know this isn't about Jurassic World. We barely talked about the fucking movie, but it's part of the things that we're talking about. L. Ron Hubbard, I think, is legitimately an evil person, but I think there's
I wouldn't say
also
that.
I think there's also a very, very, very large dose of mental illness in there from a lot of the reports about L. Ron Hubbard, especially at the end of his life. David Miscavige, outside of maybe a personality disorder, is just straight up an evil person who's
Yeah.
completely fucked. And
David
that's the
Miscavige
difference.
is like BD Wong. Like they just are evil.
He's like
But
BD
we're
Wong
like
in this movie.
L.
We're
Ron
not saying
Hubbard.
BD Wong the man and David Miscavige
Oh
the man
yes,
are different.
yes.
We're
Sorry, the
saving
character.
that character BD Wong plays in this is very much like
Yes.
David Miscavige in real
Yes.
life. Yes. I can't wait for
Whereas
Scientology to sue us now. This is going to be awesome.
They
It's going to be the best
they
thing. To be fair, it would be the best thing that would ever happen to this show because immediately we would just get a bunch of street cred. Be like, oh, Scientology canceled them? Fuck yeah.
yeah.
Let's listen.
That's the thing. It's like I don't view L. Ron Hubbard as evil. I just view him as extremely lazy and a bastard. Where it's like he does not give a shit who he throws under the bus.
No.
He does not care what he has to do. He just wants the easiest life possible.
Yeah. I guess I can
And,
see that.
and there's people like our modern president that just they get successful and they don't care how they have to do it.
Yeah.
That's how I view L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, there's still evil in there, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, to do all those things, yes.
there is the scale. There's a scale. And maybe,
Yeah.
I just think there's a healthy amount. Not a healthy amount. That's the wrong phrase to use. There's a real large dose of mental illness in there with L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, there's an extreme lack of morals.
Yes,
That's
where
fair to
like
say.
David Miscavige is legitimately an evil person who's legitimately tortured people. Like that's fucked. Like,
Hey, did they ever find his wife? Wasn't she missing?
she's still missing. No one knows where she
Oh, okay.
is
Okay, I was gonna say like I hadn't heard any news on it, but I
because there
remember
never
years
will
ago-
be. She's buried in a
Yeah.
goddamn desert somewhere that no one will ever
Yeah.
figure it out.
I just remember years ago the whole running joke of like, "Hey, where's Shelly?"
Yeah,
Like,
because nobody
Still.
knows. Pretty soon it's gonna turn
Yeah.
into a goddamn James Bond movie and like fucking Spectre, where she's hiding out in some little cabin that's surrounded by mines and everything, and no one could ever get to it because Scientology's wrapped every single fucking dollar they've ever taken from insecure people
yeah.
into
and then
prison camps.
and then Daniel Craig he'll infiltrate. He'll act like he wants to be a Scientologist.
that
But
would
really,
be
he's undercover.
secretly they document it. It's like a a dramatic version of Borat. Like a serious version of Borat.
That'd be
where,
awesome.
Where Daniel Craig turns into legitimate James Bond. he,
Hey,
he
they would
follows
probably take him.
he follows Queer Up with My Life is a Real Life James Bond. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's rad. This is a movie that you should write. This is a movie that
They
we
would
should be talking about.
they would willingly take Daniel Craig, so it's possible.
I mean, it's what they do. Let's talk Jurassic World, though, just because this is getting to be absurd and fun. We
So,
want to like Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt's very likable in this film.
so what I was going to ask is, I've pointed out the things that I really dislike about it. What are the things you do like about the movie?
I think that the second act is by far the strongest part of this film. In the kids go missing, and you stop. Part of the reason I said that it's a double-edged sword with how cold and cerebral this movie is, or analytical, was I believe the word you used, was one of my notes here is the music is still great, less effective with a corporate backdrop. Because the first time you hear that classic John Williams score and you're welcome back to the island, it's looking at a theme park. And regardless of whether you're the greatest theme park fan in the world or not, I don't care if you're the biggest Disney adult in the world, there's a very different feel to the majesty and wonder of a theme park to the majesty and wonder of the natural world, as in presented with the original Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. The whole first act does a ton of tiebacks to the original and shows how it's gone super corporate.
Yep.
And that's intentional, and it's immediately shown to be the problem. So they're steering in, which I think is a really smart choice. To not go, don't repeat Jurassic Park by just going, oh, a rich billionaire just decided to make it again and he's crazy. Like, they clearly show that this billionaire, although certainly eccentric, who is funding this project, does have morals, does have respect for people, wants to make sure it's safe. Like, he is flawed and very eccentric, but at his core is a good person. But outside of that, the entire corporation he's kind of built to do this is not great.
One of the things that Jurassic Park does that's a lot smarter is there is a corporate side to Jurassic Park with, like, the lawyer.
Yeah.
But he's clearly, like, the worst character in the movie.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, they try to show...
Outside of maybe Dennis Nedry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Newman is pretty evil. But, like, the guy who's, like, the John Hammond stand-in... trying to remember the actor's name. I can't remember. He's from Life of Pi and Slumdog Millionaire, though, so I really love him.
Yeah.
They show him as, like, very charming and very, like, kind of, he's doing it for, you know, semi-good reasons.
He's doing it for, quote-unquote, the love of the game.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
his, like...
But the problem with this one is they dive too far into the corporate side of it, where it's, like... We don't need that. Like, we can figure out on our own, hey, this might be immoral to do. Like, there's a gray area to Jurassic Park where there's no gray area to this.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to say it. And I just think that part of the coldness of this film is very intentional. But part of it also feels... I think a great criticism of this film, regardless if someone likes it or not, it's very paint by numbers.
Yeah, I mean, that's just modern blockbusters at this point, so...
Yes, but this is very much beyond just the modern blockbuster problem, which I'm not saying there isn't that, but this is literally a Jurassic Park paint by numbers kit, where you go, okay, we've introduced kids... We've introduced found family, we've introduced corporate greed, we've introduced dinosaurs, we've introduced people that want to control the dinosaurs, and we've introduced the people who respect the dinosaurs. And they go on this adventure, and the dinosaurs get loose, and it's dangerous, and the good people are the ones to survive. It's as paint-by-numbers Jurassic Park as you could get.
Yeah. And, like, it doesn't help that the characters are paper-thin. Like, Bryce Dallas Howard... her character is she's an uptight businesswoman. That's literally it.
Yes.
Chris Pratt, he kind of gets a little bit of depth with, like, leading the Raptors, but other than that, he's just...
I would argue he's the deepest character of the film, and that's a problem, because I don't think there's a ton of depth to his character.
Because there's also, like, those little moments where they try to put character in there with, like, the two kids...
Yeah.
Are talking like, oh, mom and dad are getting a divorce. But it's, like, so cliche where it's just like, this has nothing to do with the plot. You're trying to give these characters some depth. But There's better ways to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would have just been better just to play up the fact of, like, they're just siblings that don't get along that well. Like, one's a teenager and is dealing with, like, teenage problems, whereas the other one's just a kid who
Is a
knows
nerd.
nothing about that. Yeah, who knows nothing about that kind of stuff. That would have been better than, like, the crying scene with the divorce thing.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels so unnecessary.
I will
I
say
understand why.
this should have been. I think their relationship, at least it feels tangible.
I like both actors too.
Yeah.
I think they're both good.
I would say that they need to have a relationship like what is described. This is even before your time of Nickelodeon, Pete and Pete. The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Yeah, I do not know it.
But you would know one of the main stars. It's Danny Tamborelli, who was on all that and a bunch of other stuff.
Ah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he was the younger Pete. It's two brothers, both named Pete.
I'm gonna
And,
look it up.
but the way they boiled down the Adventures of Pete and Pete, which again I don't have that much history with the show either, is younger Pete is a perfectly comfortable kid in that like fourth grade, max fifth grade area where you've completely figured out what it means to be a kid and you're completely secure in being a kid. And then older Pete is going into middle school and high school where relationships start changing, school changes, your expectations of your peer group changes, and he's still grappling with the fact that he wants to be a kid and he loves being a kid, but now he's going into this world where he's a teen and the expectations for teens change. He can't necessarily do things that were just kid oriented. To me, that's what this should have been, is those two grappling with that. I think the divorce plot is one of the laziest ways you could have done it, where we got to bring a family back together because they're literally going to be broken apart. And you're like, I mean, yes, that's the paint by numbers for me. And I'm like, come on.
It's especially lazy because the parents are not characters in this movie. They're in 2 scenes and maybe 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, Judy Greer, I'd say, gets to the 5-minute mark.
The only reason that it's memorable is because it is Judy Greer. Like, if it was some no-name actress, it would be like, whatever.
Yes, I also want to say I love seeing our boy Chief Financial Officer David Wallace from Dunder Mifflin as their dad. Always fun to see David Wallace on screen.
See, I have not watched
You love the
US
British
version
often.
of-
You haven't watched the American version.
just because, like, I don't, there's like 9 seasons of that show, right? So, like,
You only have to watch the first 7, which I know is an absurd thing to say.
that's still a lot.
Yeah, but David Wallace, love seeing David Wallace. So I was like, hey! Because I forgot he was in it. So I was like, hey, there's a guy.
Real quick, backtracking to the Pete and Pete thing. Didn't know there were 2 gingers.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. You never see that.
Representation, baby.
Representation matters. Where's the gingers?
Oh,
I can't
God.
even think of a redhead that's famous nowadays.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah. I don't want her to represent us.
Why?
She's a fine actress. She just comes off to me as like bland. And I think it is part of it's mostly the movies that she's in that is like that. But yeah,
She's going
nothing against her.
She's going the director route now, so it's okay.
Following in her father's footsteps.
She's directed a couple episodes of Star Wars television for Disney. She's part of like the Star Wars team now.
Well, that makes sense. Ron Howard stepped in for Solo.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they have a good relationship, yeah. Other than those actors we've already talked about, I really do love seeing Jake Johnson. Like,
breath of fresh air. He's a breath of fresh air. He is the only... Yes, he is playing the Samuel L. Jackson role, but it's a
little bit more fleshed out.
But far more fleshed out and completely different than that character.
Yeah. Because he's in Safety Not Guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's why he was cast in this.
I was hoping this was going to really propel him into further big stuff. Not necessarily going to be leading man, but I was hoping he was going to be that really reliable number 2 in a lot of bigger stuff, and it just never really happened for him.
It's a shame about the Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, because
Yeah.
he was the second lead in that. It's just like he tried making good choices, they just didn't really pan out.
Well, he made
Although,
good. He made logical choices on paper. One was really smart, and then getting on a Tom Cruise movie is
yeah,
genius. I mean, look at everyone that was cast in Top Gun Maverick. All their careers have skyrocketed since,
oh
pretty
yeah.
much.
But he also has the Spider Verse movies.
Yes, but you don't see his actual face. You don't really get to
That's
see
true.
him do
I still
anything.
think he's really good in those movies, though.
Oh, he's great. I love him in that role.
I I've seen New Girl, like talk about. I just complained about multi seasons.
Yeah.
I've probably seen that show like 4 times over, every single episode. Like, I just love Jake Johnson. He's great, and he is a like really refreshing character in this because he's like one of the only ones that actually has a character.
Yeah, actually, when I think about it, he might be the most fleshed out character, which is wild because he's a
Him
side
or
character.
Vincent D'Onofrio, but Vincent D'Onofrio is very stereotypical.
Right. And he's Vincent D'Onofrio, so it just works.
Yeah, that's true.
The one thing I like, actually, it goes back to a former conversation with like the Vince Vaughn thing I brought up earlier. Jake Johnson was tailor made for 20 years ago. After Jurassic
He would have been
World,
great.
he would have been great in those R-rated comedies that were really dominating the box office and
Yeah.
were doing a really good job of exposing new actors to people that had comedic talent. He would have been perfect for that era.
Related, does the humor in this movie work for you?
Most of it does.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think it's like 50-50 for me, where it's like
I think
most of it's good.
the one thing I will give the sequels, and I don't give them much, so at least they gave more for Dallas Howard to actually fucking do.
They
This,
actually gave her a character.
like, I literally wrote Claire, dot, 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 problematic. She
If
is,
you asked me to name her character, never would have been able to.
exactly.
I don't know. I don't know Chris Pratt either, though.
It's Owen Grady.
Okay, that sounds familiar. But like, if you told me, like, hey,
I
what are
can't
the
name.
character names?
I can't name anybody else though. I want to make it very clear. Like I can't name
I
anybody else.
the only thing I remember is Red Letter Media on YouTube, great channel
Yeah.
about movies. They always call him Owen Thunder Guns. But like he's that's all his character is. He's just like the hunk.
Yeah, he is. It's true. The thing is, this is that she's just hyper problematic. She's such a stereotype of a female business person, and then it gets worse with some of the humor that they put in, where it just goes so stereotypical. Like she insists on going in the craft with him to go find them. It's like okay, good step up for her character to actually care about her nephews. Good idea. But then it's like she's still in fucking high heels and a business suit, and you're like, we would have all probably accepted had you at least just changed into an athletic outfit.
That would have been nice. Yeah. I mean, like they always talk about like her running in the high heels and stuff. But I'm just like, that's just a distraction from the movie.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't be your goal. Like, is it kind of cool that she can run in heels? Yeah, sure. But it's also like, do I feel one way about it more than another? No.
I just think it's part of the problematic stuff is like,
Maybe she should have thrown on that JanSport backpack,
hell yeah.
Madam Web style.
Hell yeah. Well, I also think like they went through the OG Jurassic Park. A perfect thing could have been
That's
just
one of my favorite parts of this movie.
I think that's the best part of this movie. And you expect it to come, and then they take so long for it to happen in a good way, not a bad way. I don't think this movie lags. I will say I think the pacing's pretty good.
I don't think it lags, but I think there's parts that I would take out.
I think there
Like
are
maybe 10 minutes, maybe.
I think there's some unnecessary things in there. But
Oh, that okay. After you make that point, that's what I want to talk about. Is
We'll
it
get to it.
unnecessary?
there is unnecessary pieces to this film. However, I don't think the film lags at any point where you're just like, fucking move on. And so when we get to that awesome throwback of getting to see the original garage and the original Jurassic Park piece, that's the part I think is where, if you want to say they recapture any magic, that's the closest they come to it.
Hmm. And that's the set piece that works best for me, like action set piece.
Yeah,
Because a lot of the other ones are completely jumping the shark.
to a degree. Yeah, like
Like the Raptors with the motorcycle, is it kind of cool? Sure, but it's like
it's an awesome visual. I judge everything in a lot of ways. I look back to our childhood Marcus theaters, and the mural's still up on the since the last time you were
no,
there.
they took it down.
Those fucking bastards. So that's bothersome.
At least as far as I remember, they did.
So
Because I remember being really pissed off about it.
it was a great idea.
Oh, real quick, what's the image that pops out of that mural? Obviously, this is very inside baseball, but
It's the woman holding up the Union sign.
oh, the Norma Ray.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's normal, right?
you know mine, Temple of Doom.
That was always one of my favorites when I scanned it. But the one that always stuck out to me because it's just so different compared to the rest of the mural was Norma Ray with the Union sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason
Oh,
I
they
asked,
did have they had the T-Rex in there as well.
they did. So the reason I brought this up is the Marcus Theaters Dylan and I grew up going to had a 50 by what 12 to 15 foot painted mural.
I would fucking kill to have that.
I would too.
Like, I'd pay thousands of dollars for that.
A
Honestly.
very, very artistic rendition of all these films cascading together. Really making you feel as it was literally you bought your ticket, you walked in and it was a very big, wide open concession stand with
Yeah.
the area, and then there's this painted mural that ran the entire concession stand area, and it led you down to more of the corridors of where a lot of the movies that you felt you had to go see in the theater were going
Yeah.
to play at, because you had the two big theaters on the left beside the concession stands. But these are the ones where you're like, oh, I gotta go see Zombieland in theaters. We're gonna take you that way. And
Yeah. It was like all the little movie moments you would see in a greatest hits montage.
yes,
It was that in collage form.
yes, and it was beautiful. And the reason I brought it up is if there is a shot from Jurassic World that's gonna make it onto that collage, it's him on the motorcycle side by side with raptors. Like
I would agree.
that's the shot of the movie. As cool as her running leading the T-Rex is, which I think that shot is awesome.
Yeah. It looks really nice with the flare. Yeah.
That shot is awesome. But the shot of the movie is, oh, it's raptor time, baby. And we get to cheer for the raptors this time, which you're just like, yeah. Like, that's the cool part.
Yeah.
I just wish even in that throwback to the old Jurassic Park, just let her put on a pair of fucking boots. Just be like, oh, we got these mismatching tactical boots, and then it would have been a nice tie back to the OG joke that I think works best in this movie, where she's like, that's so inappropriate for you to wear that shirt. When Jake Johnson wears the original Jurassic Park, and it's like, you're representing a huge tragedy in this world. It's not like us, where we watch a movie and we're like, oh, it's metal. It's like, in that world, people died, and you're like, yeah, but Jurassic Park's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
it would have been great if she had to throw on like a new T-shirt or something from the original Jurassic Park, because they just like found themselves in the merchandise area.
Or
And you're
just-
like, that's great.
Or just the Jurassic World version of those old like park uniforms.
Yeah,
Like, and that it's gonna sound like huge, like a very very minor gripe. The
Right.
whole like high heels thing. It's just my problem with it is it does take me out of the movie because I'm thinking like that's so impractical.
it's so impractical. The thing is this: I think it's a minor gripe that talks about a bigger conversation.
Yeah, and you made a good point. Like it also connects to the point of like she is so stereotypical, like such a blatant like archetype of a female businesswoman that it's like it's problematic, honestly.
Well, it's she needs her two nephews to nearly die for her to have any humbling
Yeah.
moment. And I'm not sitting here saying, I think it sucks because anytime you open these conversations up, it sounds like you're going to nitpick any female character more than you're going to nitpick a male character. I don't think that's inherently the case here. I think more
Oh,
so
no.
that speaks to a larger problem, which is women have never been represented nearly as much as men have in film. Ergo, and it's just like society at large. So you've already nitpicked so much of male characters that when you do have the opportunity to critique a female character, the percentage is so much lower that it feels so much more impactful when you are nitpicking a
I
female
mean,
character.
like, I could just as easily talk about Owen Thunder Guns and be like, they're equally thin. Like, they both have zero character.
Yeah, at least she has some sort of character change. At least she has some sort of like,
That's true.
I
She
should have
has a
done this.
little bit of an arc.
She has a little bit of an arc. I mean, it's super
The,
stereotypical, but
the other part that does work for me is when they come across that hill and then there's like all those dead dinosaurs.
genius. Great
Because
shot.
that's like, it's one, a new idea that you don't see in any of the other movies, as far as I remember. I can't remember the sequels that great. I've only seen them once each. So it's a new idea, and it's also a pretty powerful moment
Yes.
because it's like no one likes seeing dead animals unless you're like a sociopath.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the equivalent of a character killing a dog in a movie, where
Yeah.
it's like they're evil. We know it now. Like that's the equivalent.
I think it's also just a great morphing, turning something on its head moment where, oh boy, it's going to come.
You
Whatever.
gotta look into the light. That usually helps.
I know. So, 3, 2, 1, we're back. You make a great point. I just think it's a great callback to that original going over the hill and all the wonder. And if you do want to say something that's successful about the thematic work that they do in this film, it is that shot of all these dead dinosaurs being revealed, just
Yeah.
like the rest of Jurassic Park was revealed in this wondrous, magnanimous, beautiful way in the original, and you're like, this is what we've done. We've killed the wonder with this creature.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Great shot
It's
to
a
get
good
there.
yeah, it's a good moment of like that's actually some commentary that works for me,
Yeah.
where it's like you mess with nature too much and you're destroying all that's left of nature. Like I wish they would focus more on that than on anything else. But I said I wanted to talk about unnecessary.
I was going to lead you back there.
And to me, the only other female character that I can think of is that, like, I don't even know what to call her.
Her
She's
assistant?
pretty much just like a babysitter.
The assistant,
movie.
Claire's assistant.
The death they give her is so unnecessary. Like, they try to build her up as if, like, oh, this person's evil. Like, they try to make it the equivalent of the lawyer in Jurassic Park,
Yeah.
where it's like he's clearly a slime ball and you kind of want to see him die. This woman, she did nothing wrong. Like the kids tried to get away from her. They did. Is she the most attentive? No.
As a childcare provider, I would say I got a little satisfied. Nowhere near as much as the lawyer. I want to make that clear. But I did get some satisfaction in. I'm like, are you a fucking idiot? This is 101 shit. Like,
True. But also,
but they are actively trying to get away. And yes, the way they kill her is absurd.
it's brutal for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, so actually, I think it would work better if she just lost the kids rather than them trying to escape from her. Like, that would make her a little bit more like, oh, okay, she's not a good person. Like, she can't even watch two
Better
kids.
yet, if she left them and just said,
Yeah.
well, I'm getting called into this meeting. I know I'm not supposed to, but you boys seem fine on your own.
Yeah, that would make it more sense. When she gets picked up by the pterodactyl, she gets thrown into the water, dunked in the water, picked up by another fucking flying animal, and then just gets eaten alive by, what is it, the mosasaur?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
However, the Mosasaur, rad.
oh, it's awesome. That's one of my favorite parts of this movie. But like, if you're gonna have a character die like that, make the audience
Care.
dislike them.
Make them care in some way, shape, or form. And,
Yeah, like you do realize like the lawyer in the first one is like you dislike him to the point where it's like it's kind of fun to see him die from a T-Rex.
well, again, it goes into great gray area. He's there, and at first, although you already have a natural dislike of lawyers in film.
Yes.
Because most people just have a natural dislike for lawyers in general. Like,
Hmm.
he starts and he's like, I'm going to hold you to a higher standard. And then they turn the hill, and again, perfect shot in film. I still think that's one of the best shots ever put on film. That scene is one of the best shots in film ever. There's so many great character moments. It tells you everything you know about the movie. It's awesome. But there is, again, that great character moment where he immediately turns like, we're going to make a fortune. And you're like, oh, you're going to sell out immediately. Like, you're not even going to...
Yeah.
You're not even going to look past one little bit of sizzle. You're immediately just going to be like, money, and then every word out of his mouth afterwards is just a slime ball. You're like, yep, fuck this
And he
guy.
abandons the kid. Like he makes an active choice to abandon them.
Oh, his last moment is awful, yes, but the entire workup, he just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. You're building a sniving, just a conniving, sniveling little fucking heel, and you're just like, I need this bootlegger to go.
Yeah.
I need him to go.
Yeah.
It's pro wrestling
And-
101. It's like when you fight somebody, like, you're a fucking sports fan, just as I am. If the U.S. men's national team, who's currently playing in the Gold Cup as we're recording this, when they beat Trinidad and Tobago, you go, yeah, you should. That's the equivalent of this death, is you just go, well, yeah, I mean, like, she wasn't great, but that seems unnecessary. You want them to go out and win. You want the equivalent of the men's national team to go beat a Brazil or go beat a Germany or go beat a France or even England, and you just go, whoa,
Yeah.
god damn, that's a team.
If they had that death be Vincent D'Onofrio, it'd make a lot more sense.
Yes.
It just, obviously they need him for a plot perspective, so they wouldn't do that. But
Plus, his death does have to come by the Raptors. It's the classic.
Yeah, that's true.
You do need that one.
but that level of death,
Yes.
where it's like kind of cathartic to see, even though it's someone dying. But these are
This is the
popcorn movies.
This is the movie.
Because to me, the whole outbreak scene, where all the dinosaurs start terrorizing the park,
Yeah.
I would take out that entire part. To
I
me, you can cut down at least 5 minutes there, and you don't need it because you could just go, oh, there's a giant monster that's loose, and we don't know where it is. Everyone has to evacuate. That's it. Like, because the whole part.
You and I have. You can tell we're different editors when we talk because you want to be as bare bones as possible. I like a little bit of fluff, not a ton, but a little bit of flair is my style. I agree with you. The vast majority of that you don't need. I'd like to keep a little bit of it. Like, I don't think you need to see 2 minutes of him failing on a helicopter. It's just unnecessary.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you need to see 30 seconds of him tumbling into the dome and then dying. To me, that's just have him just be like, oh, they're migrating. Oh, I'm 30 seconds max. Get him and it's done. Cut 2 minutes right there. But then I do want to show the shots of the fleeing. I do want to see those shots. Just the panic, I think, works in this film. And I think it helps show the panic because I also think for the corporate types of this movie that need to change, such as Jake Johnson he's always known with this, like the two analysts with, like, they get it, but they still have to look at it like people are numbers, sort of.
You're talking about Lauren Lapkus?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And, like, the people in the command area and then Claire herself, they still think numerically about people. Even if they are good people somewhere in there, they think numerically. I think you need to show the panic so they really have to be confronted with, oh, no, those are people. Plus, I love the idea of It's real. It's so. I think it's the one of the best modern uses of product placement ever. Just because it really shows the sellout corporate nature of Jurassic World. I love that
Hmm.
shot of the guy of the Jimmy Buffett guy running with the two margaritas past Margaritaville, and he's still trying to drink his margaritas. That's one of my favorite
Hmm.
shots of the movie because it's just like they have so lost the idea of what this is supposed to be
Yeah,
that you got a guy
that's
in a Hawaiian shirt just being like, "Not my margaritas," as he's getting chased down by a deadly fucking creature. He's like,
yeah.
"I can make it though." You're like, "No, you idiot! Fucking run!"
See, that's one of the parts where you actually get a little bit of quirk.
Yes.
Whereas like it's so easy to just have chaos and them, but like that's like, oh, it's kind of fun. It's just a weird thing in the movie.
Yeah.
But
I
actually, I just had
maybe you have
this
like
idea.
two pterodactyls shown sweeping at people, not 15.
I just had a thought. Maybe like if you're gonna give that unnecessary death to someone, have it be like someone who tortures or like abuses the dinosaurs, the animals.
Yeah.
People know like most people agree like animal abusers are like some of the worst people in the world.
Yeah.
It's so easy to have them be disliked. So like that would be a death where I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I like seeing that person die.
Have
He
it be
deserves it."
have D'Onofrio have like a loyal guy that works with Owen.
Yeah.
And they always are
I
weary of him, and then when he dies, you're like, "Yeah, good, fuck that guy."
exactly. Like that whole part's just to me unnecessary.
So we've been talking a lot here. I just want to cover a couple notes, cool moments, and plot holes as quickly as I possibly can.
Okay.
Going back to the mosasaur, the idea of a great white shark as bait for a dinosaur is fucking rad. That's awesome. That's a great shot.
Also, the you would never be able to keep that thing in a park.
No.
The mosasaur. The only like legit exhibit for him would be the ocean.
Yeah.
Because even at zoos in the world, you can't have great white sharks in a tank. They just literally won't live like that.
Yeah.
Like that's why there's none in any zoo in the world. That obviously that's a nitpick from me, but
It's more so I like a that's a great shot. I think it's awesome. Plot hole. How can the kids control the gyrosphere?
I
This
don't have a problem with it until they get out of
But this
the
whole
part that
park,
they're supposed to be
exactly,
in.
that's what I'm talking about. This whole park is based off of complete control. Yet you can't
Yeah,
control one of them.
it would it would like logically, if this was a real place, it would just shut down as soon as you got out of the perimeter.
Yes.
Because it'd be like, no, you're not getting further than this, dude. Like, you can't just go wherever the fuck you want.
Right. Or there's no manual override system where someone could be
Yeah.
like, "No, bring it back. You're not doing it."
Even
That's
from a
one where
plot,
I'm just like, okay.
they could have
Even
had like,
the kids getting the Jeep started is so fun, but that's also like, oh, these kids can completely rebuild this battery system on this
see
Jeep.
that
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that because there's the moment in the first Jurassic Park where the girl hacks into the system.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know you set her up as like being a hacker, but it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. I let that one pass. I didn't write a note about that one, but that's one of those I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Maybe they should have set it up as like one of them knows something about mechanics.
Yes. Have the older brother actually be that's his hobby and then he's more of the bad boy and that's why he's rebellious and wants to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever, there's ways to do it. Let's talk about the Indominus Rex though. I think virtually everything they do with the Indominus Rex really works and is good.
I don't have any problems with any of this stuff. I like the camouflage.
Yes.
That's really cool. I also like a lot that they're really smart in that one part where the group of hunters are going to track it down. I like that they cut away and they just show the chaos as like their heart lines zeroing out, you
Super
know.
smart.
Flat yeah, the flat lining. Like that's like one, it's such a smart choice in terms of budget because that's not a visual effects shot anymore. You don't have to show everyone dying by this giant CG creature. You can just go, oh, okay, they're dying.
They
They're
gone.
dropping like flies.
You only have to show one, maybe two. You don't have to show 10 or 12.
Yeah, I think they only do show one. I like that part. The end fight scene, obviously, is jumping the shark completely, but it's fun.
I love the design of it. I think the Indominus works best through that scene that you just discussed, where it's classic monster movie. Don't show it.
Yeah,
Give you teases,
it would
but don't show it.
would have been 10 times better at night as well.
Yep. And that's where I think it's best. I really love when they say, "Oh, it got out of the cage," and then they go in the cage. It's like, nope, it deceived you. Actually, it's in the cage, and you're like, "Oh, we're messing with something completely different here." That's super cool, and showing how intelligent of a creature that is. And I do like it's classic kind of Spielberg, where when you think you figured it out, you haven't. I do like the choice they have where they keep saying like, what creatures did you mix to create this thing? And they won't say it, and then that's the reveal that they used part raptor, and then it's as it's talking to all the raptors and becoming like the alpha. I do like that twist. It's absurd, but I like the twist there simply because
Yeah,
there's something different, because you assume it's going to be, okay, Raptor Pack versus Indominus, who wins?
yeah, that's a good twist. Yeah,
I think that's a fun twist for the Indominus. I just think the design it's textbook, let's make an evil creature. Like, that's really fun.
real quick, I just thought of another problem I have, which is it's with Chris Pratt's character. They have too many parts where they build up to a line and he says it like it's the most dramatic thing. Like it's supposed to be the line of the movie.
Yeah.
Because he has that part where he's like, oh, she remembered where they put it in
Yeah.
about the tracker. And then there's also the part where they find all those dead dinosaurs, and then it builds up to his line like, oh, it's killing for sport.
Yeah.
Like, he has too many of those line readings in it.
Yeah. There's a couple too many of this is dramatic, and you're like, we get it.
Yeah. That's a minor gripe, though.
I think it works for the film, but you're like, yeah, when you're critiquing it, you notice it. Also, I gotta say, there's a lot of joy seeing the original T-Rex come back to be the hero. You gotta admit, the T-Rex just being the hero is rad.
That's everyone's favorite dinosaur. You gotta,
I will say,
have it.
raptors are really cool, though, but when you get to go mano a mano, that's fun.
I'm still waiting for them to put some feathers on those. They're supposed to.
It is my favorite thing, talking tangentially about the channel with all the Pokemon designs, and I love seeing people take the fossil Pokemon and being like, well, this is what it actually should look like. And then it's like this big T-Rex menacing Pokemon just becomes this feathery chicken looking thing, and I'm like, it's kind of fun. Gotta admit, that's cool. Overall, I think this film is a fun, enjoyable film, but I don't think it's going to be memory worthy. I think there's a few shots that you're like, oh, that was cool. But I don't think this is... I think this tails into this conversation. Is this worth the money that it earned?
I would say yes, because it's fun enough where it's like, okay, I understood why it was so successful.
I was going to say, I think this is a perfect example of right place, right time.
Yeah.
And a textbook example of if there is something that's a really good idea and we've done it to death, let it die for a while and come back. Because I do think they really did master we got to get a whole new generation of movie watchers to watch this. We can't just rely on the people who watched the last one. Because if we do that, this movie's not going to be successful, because half the people that watch this movie have been poisoned with the other ones and don't want to watch this movie. Where our age group, like, we grew up knowing Jurassic Park, but we didn't really have to deal with, oh, that sequel sucked, and that was bad, and that wasn't good, and the video games are trash, and this and this and that. You just kind of go, oh, Jurassic Park, that's rad. They're making another one? That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and Star-Lord's in it? Rad. Like,
Yeah. One of the things I would say about this movie is, like, I can't imagine anyone saying it's their favorite movie of all time.
yeah, I think that's actually a good comment.
Yeah.
You're right. I can't imagine someone. I don't know. I can't visualize the person that says Jurassic World is my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Like
To
if
me, it's like the perfect 6 out of 10.
if someone were to say that to me, this better have a huge sentimental story behind why that movie is sentimental. I don't want to hear, "Oh, this is just like like because it's also not the first of a generation. Like there's a lot of movies that I think someone could consider their favorite that don't make sense in time, but because of the moment make sense. Like Batman '89 doesn't hold up well. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
But I can understand if someone said that's my favorite because it was the capturing of the moment and the character that meant something. So at least they have this huge cultural event to back them. It's kind of like when I hear
Yeah.
someone says I'm a Jacksonville Jaguar fan. I'm like, why? What has this team ever done for you
Yeah.
to make you like them?
Yeah. I mean, the real problem, I think, is the characters, but we've talked so much about it.
This film is paint by numbers.
Yeah.
And if you like the paint by numbers style that they go with, you're going to get a pretty picture that you like.
Yeah. So is it worth a rewatch? To me, no.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go not worth the rewatch. Is this the first one we've ever said not worth the rewatch to?
Yeah.
I had fun. I will say, I had fun rewatching this, but is this worth... I would say this is definitely probably lower on the scale of our rewatches coming. You know,
Yeah. For sure. Like I would just say you can skip it. Go watch 1999's Mummy instead. It's way more fun. Like
it's always
that's
about
what
the fucking mummy with you, dude.
I love that movie.
I'm well aware. It's made...
To me, that's a fun adventure movie that has characters that are both memorable and they're not paper thin.
It's wild to me since we've started this podcast how much I have noticed people love the mummy. And I thought it
Yeah.
was just you. I really just thought, like, most people are like, oh,
No.
that's fun. But I thought you were the only, like, fanatic that's like, nah, 1999's Mummy is amazing. It's one of the best. And now I'm like,
People love it.
it's wild to me seeing how many people out in the world are like, oh my god, the Mummy? That movie's great. I fucking love the Mummy. I'm like, what is going on? What is happening, man?
It's a great movie. Fourth best Indiana Jones.
So your order is Raiders, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, The
Temple of
Mummy.
Doom and Raider and Crusade can flip sometimes because I'm like I love both of them.
Depends if you want short round or it depends if you want Sean Connery.
Yeah.
I will say I do like the setting of Temple of Doom more than Last Crusade just because Last Crusade does feel very Raiders-esque
Yes.
setting wise.
Yeah, and then it goes The Mummy. I think Crystal Skull over Dial of Destiny for me.
I think Dial of Destiny is a better movie,
Yeah.
but I don't like it as much because
It's the-
I think the ending it's the worst ending of all of them.
I would just say like it's so clearly not practical. It's like whatever.
It does feel like we've completely lost what the identity of Indiana Jones. Where Crystal Skull, I've always said this about Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull is very flawed, but like Crystal Skull is one of the most important movies I've ever watched in my life because it's the first time I went to the theater and just was gutted. I was just been like,
Yeah.
what? Because I remember we saw it I think on a Thursday night midnight release.
Midnight.
And then
Yeah.
we went to school the next day, or we had school off or something. But I remember we went to a Thursday night midnight release, and then I remember people asked me about it, and I was like, I don't know, man. It's the first time I've ever done that. That was the first time I ever had to really look myself in the mirror and go,
Oh, actually, here's another question because it just happens to be releasing soon. Do you think Rebirth will be better than Jurassic World?
ooh, that's a good question.
I think it will. To me, I haven't seen all that much about it. I haven't heard all that much about it, but it seems like they're trying to get back to the roots of the first
So you're saying you think Rebirth will be better than World?
Jurassic World.
I think this is going to sound like a cop-out. It's not meant to be a cop-out. I think it's going to come down to what did you like about Jurassic World? I think Jurassic World's going to be better than Rebirth. Because from what I know of this film and the things I've seen about it, like I've watched almost every trailer except like the last one because they put like 5 trailers out in the last month. I think they're doing a lot of they're going into all these cooked up species that aren't actually real dinosaurs. And they're going into like this King Kong-esque monster filled island.
Oh.
I think like that's the vibe it's giving me.
As
And
long
that's
as
some of
they
the promotional material is very clearly that's not what a dinosaur as we the public know. That's not what a dinosaur looks like. This is clearly something that's not naturally occurring and it could work. I'm not saying it couldn't, but that is one of my reservations. I'm like, are we just doing creature feature? And if it's creature feature, that's fine, but creature feature most of the time doesn't work for me in these contexts.
I would agree. I think if they go back to like I would describe Jurassic Park as a adventure thriller. I would
Yes.
describe Jurassic World as an action movie. Like that's it.
Yeah, I think that's
And then
fair. At best, it's
if they
action adventure, but I would say it's an action movie too.
yeah,
I'd agree with that.
because it just like action set piece to action set piece. That's really all it is. If they try to get back to those original roots of it, I would love that.
I also think they picked a good cast. You know,
Yeah, I
going
really
in.
like the cast.
I love getting to see Mahershala Ali do anything.
Yeah, he's great.
It's going to be really interesting. This is one of the first real starring roles for Scarlett Johansson, and people are going to be like, "No, that you're crazy." I'm like, look at it from a real big
True.
blockbuster perspective. Scarlett Johansson has always been number 2, number 3, number 4. She's never been
Yeah,
the one, and it's clear in the way this movie is being marketed. She is the one. So I'm interested to
yeah,
see what that means.
it's also like the first movie with the guy from Wicked.
Jonathan
What's
Bailey.
it? Jonathan Bailey.
Well, also he's
Um,
He's Bridgerton. That's why he's most famous.
yeah,
Bridgerton.
I know, but I haven't seen that. I have seen Wicked, so that's why I said
It's
Wicked.
absurd, but I will say there's a charm to Bridgerton. I'll give it to it because I
I'm
resisted
sure
it for
there
so
is,
long, but there's a charm to Bridgerton that I do like.
but yeah, I think. Do you think Jurassic World Rebirth will be more successful than Jurassic World?
Absolutely not.
I agree. I don't think there's any shot
I
in
think
hell.
this is Transformers. We are betting on an Asian market 1,000%. I don't think the American
I
box
think we'll
office
do.
to this day the American box office has not recovered from COVID. I
Yeah.
think this is the first year where this feels like the first loaded summer where everyone
Mhm.
said we're going to try to do the old model. And so far it's working. But it's not pacing properly. Like Mission Impossible used to be super bankable and it's theoretically going to lose money. And I don't think as
Yeah.
I think Mission Impossible 8 it's not the best Mission Impossible movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's still a fun good movie, but I don't think it's a great movie. But then you have something like 28 years later, which I actually fucking loved, and that's doing super well. But then like new Pixar Elio is dead upon arrival. So it just doesn't make sense what's happening right now.
I Yeah, I think Jurassic World will do better than the last one, or Rebirth will do better than the last one. I don't think it's gonna do better than Fallen Kingdom, because I'm fairly certain that made over 1 billion as well.
I believe it did, yeah.
So I don't see this new one making 1 billion.
I think this is going to be a very comfortable.
I mean, let's be honest. It's gonna do well. It's gonna make its money back.
Well, they picked it, they moved it to the right date. They have a week of unopposed.
Is it this week?
No, it comes out 4th of July week. So
Oh, okay.
this is going to be. We are recording this on the 25th of June. This is going to be released. I'm probably going to release it on Friday or Saturday. Usually it's Saturday for us, but simply we still have to get the top 100 series out this weekend as well. So just so we keep up the monthly. It's unopposed because as much as I'm excited for F1 doesn't seem like the movie that's going to push it. I could be wrong because it's happened in history, but it doesn't have the name brand value to push people to go see that as opposed to Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. And you have the classic 3-day weekend this year where you have 4th of July on a Friday. So then inherently you get the Thursday bonus plus the Friday bonus plus the weekend to be unopposed. And the two biggest movies of the summer are after it. So you do get almost a week plus before your two biggest competitors even enter the market in Superman and Fantastic Four. So I'm going to go, it's going to be around the 925 mark. I think it's going to do well.
I think that'd be great for it to do.
I just, every time I've bet against a movie like that, I usually end up going, I usually end up underestimating what it does, because I just think there's a lot of people that are there that like the schlock of dinosaurs.
If it's a good movie, I think it could easily make over $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's about how many times are people going to return to the movies to see it. Because that's the thing about Jurassic World is, like, everyone saw it, like, twice at least.
I will say, the Indominus and the return of the T-Rex and the Mosasaur, those were things you're like, I want to see this on the big screen. And you're right. I don't know if Rebirth's going to have that because, A, it's a competitive summer, and B, is the magic still there? This is the 7th movie of this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a Mission Impossible level franchise. And I say that from the standpoint of Mission Impossible went up, and kind of plateaued and took a small dip. But Jurassic Park literally goes, like, it's literally like watching an EKG, this franchise. So, I don't know. But there's a lot of people that like the schlock of this shit. And the Asian market has shown they love this style of shit. Hence the reason Transformers movies are still being made, even though they're utter garbage. Because the Asian market refuses to let that fucking franchise go.
Yeah, they're both bloated corpses of franchises.
It's like, Jesus Christ, let it go, guys. Let it die. Let it fucking die. But again, this is going to sound like we're egotistical, this comment. It's not meant to be egotistical. I just think, honestly, I don't think I'm that sophisticated of a movie watcher. But the more and more we do research into box office, the more and more I think, by standard, I'm a pretty sophisticated movie watcher, because half the stuff that makes a lot of money, I'm not interested in.
That's the entire reason I started this project of looking at box office. Because I went all the way back to 1939, and it's like, it's amazing. You hit like 2004 or 5 is when you really start seeing like a shift between, really good movies are making money, to just giant movies are the ones that are making money.
And whether the giant is good or not is hit or miss.
It's sometimes not. And this is a perfect example of that.
It's going to be interesting to see, nonetheless. I will have some more summer movie reviews coming your way. I will try to connect with Dylan sometime in the summer so we can get him back in a theater somewhere, just so we can review a movie.
Superman, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. It's going to be Superman. The only problem is I'm gone the entire weekend Superman debuts. So trust me, I'm buying a Thursday night ticket to that bad boy. I'm recording as fast as possible because I got a flight the next day because we have a wedding that weekend. But there's no way in hell I'm going to skip the entire first weekend of Superman. I don't care what happens. I might go to, if I have to, I literally might go to wedding festivities, and then the night before the wedding just say, sorry, I got to go to your local theater and watch Superman, because I'm not going a full weekend of avoiding spoilers. That's just a disaster waiting to happen for me. Mm-hmm. So I will be buying those tickets shortly. But we're going to have some more reviews for you guys coming, which is going to be fun. And we got Back to the Future on the way. And trust me, we're both going to be really positive about Back to the Future. And we got our Top 100 series coming your way, so stay tuned for more. Yeah. Enjoy the show. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening wherever you are. Like, comment, subscribe. Always helps the channel. We appreciate it. So thank you very much. Peace, love, and hugs to you all. Goodbye!